Did you know Eli Manning, Jeff's guy,
Yes.
has a beer guy in every freaking town outside of New York when he's on the road?
Wow.
He likes to take a 12-pack on the bus before he gets to the airport.
Can I ask you a question? I mean, in all seriousness, why is this a story?
It's a story.
Why?
Because it's a story.
For one reason, right? His name is Eli Manning?
Probably.
That's why.
Probably. But it's kind of cool that he has a specific
he has a beer
vendor.
guy?
He has a vendor in each stadium. And you know what? After getting your butt kicked and getting tackled and everything, you'd like to sit back and have a few beers and take the edge off.
That has happened a lot over the last couple of years. So
Probably.
I don't get why that's a story, but all right. You know, Eli's a great guy, I guess.
Where's Rosalie Michaels? She was supposed to join us.
It is week 17. It's all over.
It is.
And by the way, there was a great article I wanted to bring up, John, that Vac did in the Post talking about, because we're coming. This is it. This is the last show of the year, last show of the decade. And
that is true. And
he was saying that this was arguably the worst decade in the past 60 years.
Go over those numbers because they're
unbelievable.
pretty amazing.
I'm going to bring them up, but basically he was comparing all the New York sports decades.
How far back did he go?
He went back to the 50s. Good question, John.
Okay.
And first he did winning percentages, and it was the second to worst winning percentage, but that's not the key. The key is that in all the other decades, New York had multiple championship teams. Even in the 60s, they had 4. And
what
by
were
the way,
4? They had 4. They had the Mets in 69.
I'll bring it up while we're
Yankees
talking
winning
about
that decade. I don't know if they did win that decade.
They did. Actually.
Oh, they did.
They did win in that. Yes,
that was Roger Maris time
yes,
too.
The
during
beginning.
That, right.
Then they got awful, but they did win in that decade. And in the 2010s, by contrast, we have won the New York Giants in 2011. One championship. What a disgrace.
Seems like a lot more, though.
But it's not.
Yeah.
Who's the? And by the way, one of them, and I'm bringing it up while we're talking. So one of the most amazing stats. I mean, this is unbelievable. So let me just read it off to you. So by the way, winning percentage by year, and this is all credit to Vac in the New York Post. 1950s 571, 2000s was this. Oh, I just lost the article. Shoot. 2000s 523, 1970s 515, 1990s 513, 1980s 501, 2010 501. 60s were 462, but we had 4 championships in the 60s. And don't forget, the difference between the 60s and this decade, the 60s ended really well. The Knicks were headed to a championship. The Jets had a NFL-altering championship, right? So it ended very well.
George Namath is why the NFL still exists today.
So it ended really well. This decade is not ending well for most New York teams. A couple.
So in the 80s, right, the Giants had won the Super Bowl in 86. The Mets had won the World Series in 86. What else? That was it in that generation?
So I got to go
decade?
back. I had to get that sound effect, so I got to go back.
Wait,
to
when, John?
80 in the 80s.
Oh, John.
Well, the
Islanders.
The Islanders
the
had 4
Islanders.
championships.
There you go.
So that was the main
there you
one.
Go.
But the Giants had 86, and like you said, the Mets had 86.
Right.
And the Yankees at least contributed. Remember, the Yankees, Steinbrenner used to always talk about how they had the best winning percentage in the 80s, even though they had no championships. But here, let me read it off to you. So in the 50s, we had 8 championships. The Yankees had 5, Dodgers 1, Brooklyn Dodgers.
Right.
The baseball Giants, the football Giants had 1. The 70s, we had 6 championships, 2 for the Yankees, 2 for the Knicks because they counted the Knicks one as 70. The Nets had 2 championships. The Nets. The 80s, where the Islanders had 4, the Mets had 1, the Giants had 1. The 90s, the Yankees had 3. We all remember those.
You know the Nets coach was then?
No, who was that?
Kevin Lockery.
Interesting.
Yeah, and Julius Erving.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yankees. So the 90s, Yankees 3, Giants 1. The Rangers, of course, Messier. Devils had 1. 2000s, Yankees 2, Devils 2, Giants 1. And but the 2010s, man, 1 championship.
Amazing.